We have finally arrived. We did an assessment of the blue planet. We searched for life, and all we could find was microscopic life. The surface is barren, devoid of any life. UV can bomb the surface, restricting life to the seas. There was no intelligent life. The other planets were devoid of life as well. One is a hothouse, the other is dry and cold. We're going to move on to the next planetary system. We've dedicated our lives to find other intelligent life, and we keep finding the occasional world of microbes at best. The blue planet is probably going to freeze over in the future. Well, we better send the message back to our home galaxy. It'll be 2.5 million years before anyone will hear from us, assuming our species isn't extinct by the time they get our message. I hope our race can avoid the traps of greed and war and survive the prosperous high civilization, or a life work to travel the cosmos will be for nothing. Yes, I hope so too. And so our alien explorers leave the primitive Earth. They have traveled from the Andromeda Galaxy to find if the Milky Way also had intelligent life. But they kept finding worlds of microbes. They're able to do this because they have found a way to utilize antimatter rockets to achieve 90% the speed of light. But little do they know, their message would be received at home. You see, the Andromeda Galaxy is 2.5 million light years away. The theory of relativity allows one to travel from the Andromeda to the Milky Way and back in a single lifetime, but 5 million years will have gone by on their planet. Their race on their planet went extinct long before their message would arrive. But another intelligent species would emerge on that planet, and they would find the ruins of the last species and pick up where they left off. They learned their language and would receive this signal, and it would be a big deal. And one of them thought, this planet had more going on than it seemed. So he prepared a lifetime mission to travel to visit this world. So we take a closer look at Earth. At this point, it has eukaryotes. Those are more complicated single-cell organisms. It took 3.5 billion years to get to this point. While we are talking about millions and billions, I want to give you some perspective. A million seconds passes in just 12 days. It happens very fast. A billion seconds takes just under 32 years. A billion is a big number and a big difference from a million. So we aren't even that far into the past. only about 1 billion years, and the Earth is 4.6 billion years old. And so, this world has a giant supercontinent on it called Rodinia, and there are stalagmite mats in the shallow areas where photosynthesis is happening. And in the open ocean, all the life and most of the oxygen is contained in the upper levels of the water, as the organisms that eat dead matter use up all the oxygen before it can fall to the seafloor. Everything is in a plane and not stratified, so we don't achieve the oxygen levels required to get evolution to move on to higher life. But there came a point when the earliest sponges appeared, and this is what our alien friends overlooked. By filter feeding and consuming photosynthetic organisms, the oxygen gets spread around, and more carnivorous eukaryotes appear. Life in the upper waters gets heavier and can fall to the sea floor, creating new opportunities for life. We see the emergence of amoebas and ciliates, whom are like tiny animals that consume other organisms. We see dinoflagellates, whom are a hybrid of photosynthesizers and consumers. We see the emergence of algae. Green algae grows in shallow waters. Red algae grows in deeper, darker waters. Brown algae can grow tall. It is not known exactly when kelp appeared, but it may have existed at this time. The world was changed, but the rise in oxygen in the later organisms resulted in a cooler world. The carbon became trapped in the larger organisms, and the world cooled down and may have even froze over. But life is able to survive in certain areas, and eventually, after enough time passed, continental drift and volcanoes would release carbon to warm it up again. And when it did, the carbon cycle was able to adjust, and life continued to develop as oxygen levels rose. Glaciations continued to happen as life insisted upon developing more and more. Eventually, after millions and millions of years pass and many ice ages come and go, we get to the Ediacaran fauna. These feather-like organisms were filter feeders, while the round organisms on the ground probably grazed the microbial mats or ate the detritus. And these jellyfish-like organisms were probably floating filter feeders. Ecosystems start off simple, and more parts get added to them. Eventually, we got to life that could burrow. This changed all the rules. The microbial mats that had lower layers sensitive to oxygen would die off and leave a clean slate in the sea floor for evolution to remake ecology. The carbon would get released back into the atmosphere and the sea levels would rise, making shallow seas over low areas of the continents. The bedrock that was awash with water added minerals to the water, and this led to an explosion of biodiversity. We call it the Cambrian explosion. We had the rise of shellfish because of the added mineralization. Niches got filled. Brachiopods became the dominant filter feeder. The clams were burrowing filter feeders, and the ancestors of snails are grazers of algae. There were trilobites that were mostly detritivores that ate the dead matter on the sea floor. And we had a carnivore, Anomalocaris, that would set the stage of predator and prey dynamics in a circle of life. Ancient coral reefs existed. Everything existed close to the sea floor. For millions of years, when one would visit Earth, they would find a planet that belonged to the trilobites. The world was getting warmer though, due to the lack of microbial mats, and had been getting warmer year after year. Carbon levels were really high and oxygen levels were lower than they are today. Ocean chemistry was changing due to acidification, and the organisms with hard shells would be hit hard. It is now that our alien friends have come to find this planet. It is everything I thought it would be. It was a long journey, but this world did have potential. But it looks like their habits are unsustainable and the world is going to be changed. Will this glorious era end, or will it continue on? And so, he reports his findings. Life is temporal. It only exists for a while, in one form. At one point, our Earth was just a barren landscape. Our oceans were just microscopic life. Later on, though, it would freeze over and thaw, and then get warm and give birth to many, many shellfish. I present it this way to give you perspective of the big picture, to remove the human bias. Someday, we may find life on other planets, and it may very well be a world of shellfish. Life changes a lot. In 250 million years, this world saw a lot of change. Just as the first set of aliens went extinct, a new set of intelligent aliens evolved several million years later. The mid-Cambrian world would see a big extinction event. Many species would be lost. The ancient corals would go extinct, and then the stromatite mats would once again grow in the places the reefs grew. And they would act as a carbon sink and help stabilize the planet. And life would again diversify in the Ordovician, and the corals would re-evolve and build new reefs in the worlds to come. And us humans think we are the most important thing on Earth. But just like the species of the past, we are tinkering with the planet and making changes. We may or may not make it, but perhaps the apes today, if they are still around, will take to the savannas and eventually achieve intelligence. Or maybe, if we melt the ice caps, the shallow seas would make way for intelligent dolphins. I think the reason we never find intelligent life is because civilizations can probably only last tens of thousands of years before they consume everything and fall apart. How long until someone hits the big red button to launch a nuke? And we as a species can't even keep greed in check. Life will go on though, and it's hard to imagine where life will go from here. But it's far from done. No matter what we do to this planet, life will be resilient and go on, with or without us, for at least another billion years.